Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a student of international relations as a unit I took, and the latest outburst from Muhoozi, Ugandan army, do not really sit comfortable with me. So, of course, since doing the first video, I have been receiving reactions and, of course, people making calls just as we do peer analysis on this. I spoke to a senior lecturer from my university then, just to get what exactly is playing out. And there is a dominant question that I have gathered. Are we exposed as a country to such, why are we exposed to such ridicule? Where senior army general from a neighboring country is declaring a reckless war threat on something that people really don't get to understand. And I have seen the question of the pot also becoming huge. But in this video, I will explain for you what could be our undoing as a country, or rather the leadership on this country that can expose us. Before we look at that, kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and also like our video. I also have a special show in this channel. You can check out my previous video, exclusive interview with the Zimio agent, and you can check out that video there. It's an interesting dig into what exactly happened, and that is for your perusal. So, ladies and gentlemen, what did we get wrong? Let me just bring you up to speed with the latest. Today, after William Ruto promised to take charge of issues, there was a multi-agency security officers that were deployed in Turkana, and that operation and the officers were there today. So on operation, or rather on security front or on a military operation front, that is what we are dealing with. We have a new administration that is just coming into office. And one of the few things that you can see is there have been talks of changes in the security ranks in the country. And two senior officers from different security departments had been forced to resign. Even though we understand that the messaging in public is that some of them, of course, were just to resign voluntarily. Whether they resigned voluntarily or they were forced to relinquish those positions, the point is there are changes that we are witnessing. So is it a coincidence? This can either be two sides. There are two sides of this outburst. Muhoozi threatened that it will take him time, barely 2 weeks, and of course he's been making those tweets one after the other. I don't know whether that Twitter account is hacked, because even a leader, if he was to tweet, I don't think it will be in that quick succession. If it's something serious, we'll just make one statement and wait and see how Kenyans are reacting. But at least he's giving us a gig, or rather he's just provoking Kenyans on Twitter to have a conversation between themselves. There has been an interesting twist in Muhoozi's threat on our territorial sovereignty. And we are not facing this territorial sovereignty for the first time. And people who understand have been following some of the regional politics will actually know that President Uhuru Kenyatta was the former chairman of the East African Community and mediated, and he's been mediating the injection of DRC into the East African Community. We have also experienced a border war with, I think that was Somalia. It was part of the marine conversation that went on. That I don't know whether it was brought to its logical conclusion, but that has been there. not so many years ago, there was also another border dispute about Migingo, where Museveni insisted that the water, the land was in, water was in Uganda. There was some part which was in Uganda, but some other part was in Kenya. So these territorial attacks on our territorial sovereignty are things that have been here for some time. I don't know what will be your guess, and I've just been following up into what exactly happened. Kenyans are united, and there is some other interesting twist to it. How about the way, if you check social media, the way Kenyans are reacting, we are united in this. Was it engineered, a well-cooked strategy to galvanize the country on a specific course, or rather to divert the attention of the country from that election so that people can come together for a specific cause? All these are thoughts that have come through. But I want to give this analysis the exposure that we've had a bearing by checking at Mutahi Ngunyi's tweet. He's saying something. How to read politics 101. When Uganda provokes Nairobi for no good earthly reason, there is a coup in Burkina Faso. A counter coup is loading in Mali, Guinea-Bissau, Chad, and Sudan. Coups are like COVID, they spread. In Kenya, Ruto is safe, but is Uganda safe? The last part of that tweet is what I want us to look at. He's saying that coups have been in Africa, and the coups are like COVID, they spread faster across borders. So Ruto is safe in Kenya, but is Uganda safe? So that brings me to one thing that is there, that did we expose ourselves to be part of Ugandan succession politics? And this is it, that whatever might be happening would also be a ploy by the Ugandan General Muhoozi to show his might and to market himself and show his might. Remember, they are saying, in that tweet is saying that the only language they understand is revolution, not any other thing. So are we exposing ourselves to be part of Ugandan succession politics? Why do you think of this? Now, the inviting, I want to say, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is a very close friend to William Ruto and was invited to attend here a ceremony. And when he was in this country, he spoke passionately about the Kenyan democracy. Well, we know very well that at least Uganda have never experienced a transition. The only language they understand is a revolution. Kenya have experienced 3 transitions, while Uganda have never, not even 3. We've done Moi succession, that Kenyatta succession, Moi succession, Kibaki, and now Ruto, and now Uhuru succession. 4. I can't remember when last Uganda had an inauguration ceremony, and sorry to say, we have some of us here who are subscribers from Uganda. We're not trying to mock you, but we're just saying what exactly is the issue. So, what exactly do you think we're getting wrong? I want to say that Kenya is broke narrative was misguided. You know, a deputy president and the government coming out publicly to say that our treasury is dry. Aren't we exposing our weakness? Because the intention was to tell Kenyans that things are not good, so bear with us. But are we exposing ourselves to, are we exposing our weaknesses to our enemies? So someone feels like because there is a new government, there is a new administration, there is a bit of that streamlining that is going on. Remember, even the cabinet has not been vetted. So the CS who is in charge of defense is on transition because Eden Dwell has not been vetted by the parliament. And we have already complaining about the broke narrative. Are we telling the East African community and the international community that we have not yet settled, we are not ready? Remember, we are supposed to have an element of continuity. I just want to provoke your thoughts so that you also look at it in some other perspective. Now, I also want to mention that international community, is the international community trying to checkmate Ruto? How did we get ourselves into this? And of course, I'm going to look at this in the next analysis. Remember, we were at a situation and we have an election that was contested majorly, or rather with a great focus on the fact that there could be foreign infiltration. The backbone of Azimio's argument in contesting William Ruto's victory was also on foreign infiltration. So because of that, don't you think that even our neighbors might think that the government we are having was installed by some powers? And so the international community that maybe would not have sat comfortable, felt like this was not it, is trying to use some other forces from outside to influence our politics within, or rather to checkmate the government of the day. This is more than what you can consume. And one thing I can say, that I don't see the hand of President Uhuru Kenyatta, the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, into this. They could be more into what we are reading. And maybe I wish I am reading too much. If I'm reading too much and I'm wrong on this, even the better. But then, remember, there have been that conversation. It brings a question of what is William Ruto's foreign policy? What is William Ruto's foreign policy, or what is William Ruto's commitment on the East African community, on the spirit of the East African community? Is someone trying to provoke? I've checked by the time I was producing this video. I have not seen the other East African community leaders or other players trying to bring their voice into this. Of course, it's something that is very sensitive, and of course people are keen to what they say. But the fact that they are quiet should worry quite some of us. Now, that was on the international space. Back home, what do you think makes someone foreign from another country or a neighboring country to think of attacking us in Kenya? Could we also be having our own local domestic problems that is exposing us to such declarations, or rather that is making us vulnerable? Could we also be having our own problems? We are having a transition, and this is a transition that, apart from this, the civil transition, there is also the military transition. And we've come after a situation where we're at a situation where other people think that there was political infiltration, and maybe there seems to be a need for transition. You know, what I'm simply asking is, what is the state of our men of uniform? What is the state of their unity? What is the state of affairs? These are very key issues that we want to look at. And I think at this opportune time, we should come out brave. Out of this, we don't take it lightly. I don't agree with politicians, and I've seen the likes of Miguna, and I think John Badi and a host of some other Twitter users trying to dismiss William Ruto, trying to dismiss this threat. Remember, the politicians have security. The politicians, their passports are ready. They can fly this country anytime. You understand? The politicians are comfortable. But the man, the common man, or rather the Wanjiku, might not have the luxury and the privileges that the politicians are having. They're making personal stands because they are speaking from the point of privilege. If you speak from the point of vulnerability, then you will understand that dismissing into social media might not be enough, but asking the most pertinent questions is something that we must look out for. Now, there is my last aspect that I wanted to look at. We head from an election. We have a president already in office, and government is moving on. Someone is bringing an issue or an angle that someone was supposed to have a third term. Someone needed to have a third term. What does this posit on Raila? Does someone wants to drag people's names into this? And someone is saying, lastly, but personally dismiss it, that is this kind of a situation, when we come out of this as a united front, will it boost legitimacy? What is it? I have seen the responses, people dismissing, and of course, I think there is only one person, I checked the Twitter, Chirgay, yes, is the only one that I've said that is expecting the ministry in charge of foreign affairs to take charge and intervene over the situation in the fullness of time. What's your statement on this? Dismissing, according to me, is not enough, because not all of us have privilege. Some of us, some of Kenyans, are vulnerable.